Winston Churchill 1940-1945. Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on November 30, 1874, into a family deeply rooted in British aristocracy. His father, Lord Randolph Churchill, was a prominent conservative politician, while his mother, Jenny Jerome, was an American socialite. Growing up, Churchill exhibited a strong-willed and independent character, traits that would come to define his later political career. Churchill's early education was at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, where he trained as a cavalry officer. However, his keen interest in writing led him to become a war correspondent, covering conflicts in Cuba, India, and Sudan. This early exposure to the military and his experiences as a journalist shaped Churchill's perspectives on war, strategy, and international affairs. Entering the political arena, Churchill aligned himself with the Conservative Party and was elected as the Member of Parliament, MP, for Oldham in 1900. Over the next 2 decades, his political affiliations evolved, and he switched to the Liberal Party in 1904. Churchill held various ministerial positions, including First Lord of the Admiralty, where he played a crucial role in modernizing the British Navy. However, Churchill's career took a downturn in the years leading up to World War II due to his controversial decisions during World War I, such as the Gallipoli campaign. As a result, he found himself out of favor with the political establishment, and he spent a period in the political wilderness known as the Wilderness Years. The interwar period was marked by economic instability, political turmoil, and the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, imposed harsh conditions on Germany, contributing to economic hardships and resentment. Meanwhile, Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party ascended to power in Germany in 1933, and the aggressive expansionist policies of Nazi Germany and militarist Japan heightened international tensions. In Britain, the 1930s were characterized by a policy of appeasement, with leaders such as Neville Chamberlain seeking to avoid another devastating conflict. However, as Hitler's ambitions grew and Germany invaded Poland in 1939, the British government realized the need for a more resolute leader. In May 1940, as Germany launched its blitzkrieg through Western Europe, Chamberlain resigned as Prime Minister, and Winston Churchill, despite his previous political setbacks, was called upon to lead the nation in its darkest hour. Churchill's ascension to power marked a critical turning point in the war and set the stage for his remarkable leadership during the tumultuous years that followed. As Churchill assumed office, Britain faced formidable challenges. German forces had rapidly advanced through Belgium and the Netherlands, and the evacuation of British and Allied troops from Dunkirk was underway. The prospect of a German invasion loomed large, and the Royal Air Force, RAF, was engaged in a fierce battle against the German Luftwaffe during the early stages of the Battle of Britain. The nation was under constant threat, with the possibility of air raids and the need to prepare for a potential ground invasion. The urgency of the situation demanded swift and decisive action to bolster the country's defenses and rally the British people. One of Churchill's greatest strengths during this period was his ability to communicate with the public through powerful and inspiring speeches. His oratory skills became a beacon of hope for the British people. Some of his most famous speeches, such as "We Shall Fight on the Beaches" and "Their Finest Hour," resonated with a sense of determination and defiance against the Nazi threat. These speeches not only provided reassurance to the British public but also garnered international attention. Churchill's words had a unifying effect, fostering a spirit of resilience and solidarity that was crucial for enduring the hardships of war. His speeches became a source of inspiration not just for the British, but for the Allied forces and supporters worldwide. Churchill wasted no time in assembling a war cabinet composed of key political and military figures. This included individuals such as Clement Attlee, Anthony Eden, and Sir Winston's close ally, Sir Alan Brooke, who served as Chief of the Imperial General Staff. In the early days of his leadership, Churchill made critical decisions to strengthen Britain's military capabilities and resilience. He ordered the evacuation of British and Allied forces from Dunkirk, saving a substantial portion of the British Expeditionary Force. Recognizing the importance of air power, he supported the RAF in their valiant defense against the Luftwaffe during the Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain was a pivotal air campaign that unfolded between July and October 1940. It marked a critical phase in World War II as Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, sought to establish air superiority over Britain in preparation for a potential invasion. The German Luftwaffe, commanded by Hermann Göring, launched relentless air attacks targeting British airfields, infrastructure, and cities. The Royal Air Force, RAF, played a central role in the defense of Britain. Under the command of Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding, the RAF employed innovative tactics, including the use of radar, to effectively counter the Luftwaffe's aerial assaults. The dogfights in the skies over southern England became intense, with both sides suffering significant losses. The resilience and effectiveness of the RAF pilots, along with the production capabilities of the British aircraft industry, ultimately thwarted Germany's attempts to gain air superiority. Winston Churchill's leadership during the Battle of Britain was instrumental in maintaining the morale of the British people. Through a series of powerful speeches, he conveyed a message of defiance and determination. One of his most famous speeches during this period, delivered on August 20, 1940, included the iconic line, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few," acknowledging the bravery and sacrifice of the RAF pilots. Churchill frequently visited airfields and spoke with pilots, boosting their spirits and emphasizing the vital role they played in defending the nation. His visible presence and unwavering support for the RAF created a sense of unity and purpose among the British population, instilling confidence that the country could withstand the aerial onslaught. The Battle of Britain holds immense historical significance as a turning point in World War II. The successful defense of Britain against the German air attacks not only prevented a potential invasion but also shattered the myth of German invincibility. The resilience of the British people and the effectiveness of their air defenses demonstrated that the Axis powers could be defeated. The outcome of the Battle of Britain had broader implications for the war's trajectory. It marked the first major defeat for the Germans and forced Hitler to abandon his plans for invading Britain. This shift in momentum provided a boost to the Allied cause and allowed Britain to serve as a base for future operations against Nazi-occupied Europe. In addition to its military implications, the Battle of Britain symbolized the strength of democratic values against the forces of tyranny. Churchill's leadership and the courage of the RAF pilots became emblematic of the collective determination to resist aggression. The lessons learned from the Battle of Britain influenced subsequent Allied strategies and contributed to the eventual defeat of the Axis powers. Winston Churchill's leadership extended beyond the borders of Britain, as he played a crucial role in fostering alliances with key leaders of the Allied powers. His collaboration with U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin was instrumental in coordinating the Allied war effort and shaping the post-war world. Churchill and Roosevelt developed a close personal and working relationship, marked by frequent correspondence and face-to-face meetings. The two leaders first met in August 1941 aboard the USS Augusta off the coast of Newfoundland, where they drafted the Atlantic Charter. This collaboration laid the foundation for a strong Anglo-American partnership throughout the war. The special relationship between Churchill and Roosevelt became a linchpin in the Allied strategy, influencing military operations and post-war planning. Despite ideological differences, Churchill recognized the necessity of aligning with the Soviet Union to defeat the common enemy, Nazi Germany. In 1941, Churchill traveled to Moscow to meet with Stalin, solidifying the Anglo-Soviet alliance. The collaboration was crucial in the Eastern Front, where the Soviet Union bore the brunt of the fighting against the German forces. The Big Three, Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin, held conferences to coordinate their strategies and establish a united front against the Axis powers. The Atlantic Charter, formulated during the meeting between Churchill and Roosevelt in August 1941, outlined the principles that would guide the Allied powers in the post-war era. This document not only solidified the commitment to victory but also laid the groundwork for a world order based on democratic values and self-determination. The Atlantic Charter emphasized principles such as the renunciation of territorial aggrandizement, the right to self-determination, and the establishment of a system that promoted free trade and international cooperation. These principles aimed to ensure a just and lasting peace after the war. The Atlantic Charter served as a precursor to the establishment of the United Nations and other international organizations that sought to prevent future conflicts and promote collective security. Churchill's vision for a world order based on collaboration and shared values played a vital role in shaping the architecture of the post-war international system. Churchill actively participated in military conferences with Allied leaders to coordinate strategies and allocate resources effectively. Conferences such as those in Casablanca, Tehran, and Yalta provided a platform for Churchill to discuss military operations, including the invasion of North Africa, the planning of VEday, and the coordination of efforts in the Pacific. Churchill's diplomatic skills were critical in managing the often complex relationships within the Allied coalition. He navigated the differing priorities and interests of the United States, the Soviet Union, and other Allied nations. Despite occasional disagreements, Churchill's ability to maintain diplomatic ties and foster a sense of common purpose contributed significantly to the overall success of the Allied war effort. Churchill's global leadership during World War II went beyond his role as the Prime Minister of Britain. His collaborations with Roosevelt and Stalin, his contributions to the formulation of the Atlantic Charter, and his adept management of Allied relationships showcased his commitment to a united front against tyranny and his vision for a more just and peaceful world after the war. The North African Campaign was a pivotal theater where British and Allied forces, under the command of General Bernard Montgomery, successfully pushed back the Axis forces led by General Erwin Rommel. Churchill's strategic decisions and support for this campaign played a crucial role in turning the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. Churchill's determination to defeat Axis forces in North Africa was reflected in his speeches and communications, rallying both the military and the public behind the importance of the campaign. The Allied invasion of Italy marked another significant turning point. Churchill supported the decision to invade Italy as a means of opening a new front in Europe and placing additional pressure on Axis forces. The successful campaign in Italy contributed to the weakening of Axis forces and set the stage for further Allied advances. Churchill's speeches during the Italian campaign served to bolster morale and emphasize the strategic importance of the Mediterranean theater in the overall war effort. Churchill advocated for intense strategic bombing campaigns against German cities, factories, and military installations. The combined efforts of the Royal Air Force and the United States Army Air Forces inflicted substantial damage on Germany's war machine, crippling its industrial capacity and weakening its ability to sustain prolonged warfare. Churchill's speeches during the North African Campaign, such as the famous 8th Army's Charge speech in November 1942, conveyed his unwavering confidence in victory and acknowledged the sacrifices of the Allied forces. He emphasized the importance of defeating Rommel's Afrika Korps and securing the vital Suez Canal. Churchill's speeches during the Italian campaign, including the Hinge of Fate speech in 1943, underlined the strategic significance of the Mediterranean theater. He articulated the importance of the Italian campaign in weakening the Axis powers and opening a new front in Europe, stressing the long-term impact on the overall war effort. Churchill's communications leading up to the D-Day invasion in Normandy were marked by a mix of anticipation and urgency. In the weeks and days preceding the invasion, he addressed the nation, preparing them for the monumental operation. His famous speeches, such as the one delivered on June 6, 1944, showcased his ability to inspire confidence and determination as Allied forces launched the largest amphibious assault in history. The Tehran Conference brought together Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin to discuss the progress of the war and plan for future operations. Churchill's diplomatic skills were crucial in navigating the differing priorities of the Allied leaders. The conference laid the groundwork for the invasion of Normandy and the broader strategy for defeating Nazi Germany. Churchill was actively involved in the planning and decision-making for the Normandy invasion, codenamed Operation Overlord. While acknowledging the risks and uncertainties, he supported the bold strategy proposed by the military leaders. The invasion, launched on June 6, 1944, marked a turning point in the war, as Allied forces successfully established a beachhead in Nazi-occupied France. During the period from 1942 to 1944, Churchill's leadership was characterized by strategic insight, effective communication, and collaboration with Allied leaders. The successful military campaigns in North Africa, Italy, and the planning for the Normandy invasion reflected his commitment to defeating the Axis powers and restoring peace to Europe. On May 8, 1945, Churchill announced the unconditional surrender of Nazi Germany, marking victory in Europe, VEday. Churchill's speeches during this period reflected both the relief of victory and the solemn recognition of the immense human cost of the war. Winston Churchill's leadership during the planning and execution of Operation Overlord and the subsequent liberation of Western Europe played a pivotal role in the Allied victory. His strategic insight, political acumen, and ability to inspire confidence were instrumental in coordinating the efforts of the Allied forces and ultimately bringing an end to the Nazi regime. Winston Churchill's leadership during the critical years of 1940 to 1945 stands as a beacon of inspiration and resilience in the face of unprecedented challenges. From his appointment as Prime Minister during Britain's darkest hour to the triumphant victory in Europe, VEday, Churchill's unwavering commitment to the Allied cause and his steadfast resolve left an indelible mark on history. Churchill's contributions to the Allied victory extend beyond military strategy. His unwavering determination, resilience, and ability to inspire confidence in the face of adversity played a crucial role in uniting the Allied forces and sustaining public morale. Churchill's leadership style, characterized by bold decision-making, eloquent speeches, and a refusal to yield to despair, earned him admiration not only from the British people but from allies and supporters worldwide. His ability to communicate a vision of victory, even in the darkest hours, left an enduring legacy. Winston Churchill became a symbol of defiance against tyranny and a voice for freedom and democracy. His courageous stand against Nazi aggression and his resolute leadership turned him into an icon whose legacy extends far beyond the years of World War II. Churchill's impact on the world stage endured long after the war. His contributions to the establishment of the United Nations and advocacy for European unity were manifestations of his commitment to a post-war world order that prioritized collaboration and diplomacy. In conclusion, Winston Churchill's leadership during 1940 to 1945 was characterized by vision, courage, and an unyielding commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy. His contributions to the Allied victory and his lasting impact on the post-war world order solidify his place as one of the towering figures of the 20th century, remembered not only as a statesman but as a symbol of resilience and leadership in the face of adversity. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future.